Hello and welcome back to a Telair MyPBX video tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to look at setting up and configuring your extensions. First thing to do is log into your tenant, in which case we're going to log into our demo account here. Once logged in, from the left-hand side, we're going to go to Extensions and Contacts. Hit on User Extensions, and we should see the list of extensions. If none are created, we can create and delete extensions from the top right. So let's start by creating a new extension from the top right by hitting New Extension. Let's put in the first name. In this case, we'll call it Mike, last name Smith. We're going to assign this person extension of 555. Now, the mobile phone is not required. Email address is specified for the voicemail to email. So we should put in an email when associating an extension to a user. In this case, we'll use mike@demo.com. And if you want a secondary email address, let's say you're a manager or a team lead, you can put your email address here to receive secondary copies of that voicemail to make sure that that person is responding on time or for whatever reason. It could also be an assistant. Now, the phone make and model defaults to the Polycom 330320 model. Now, you can select whichever phone device you're using from our list here. And once you've selected, you would put in the MAC address of that phone, which can be found on the back sticker or within the settings of the device. And the reason for these settings is from the phone itself, we will point the TFTP server on the phone to point to the address of this server, which will contain information based on the MAC address we put in here of all this user's information. So it'll say Mike Smith, extension 555, and it will know that that specific phone will belong to that specific user. You can only assign one phone per user. And now, from this point, we can hit save and our extension will be created. But if you want to go through the list here, we can see we have some additional options. We can assign a direct phone number or DID directly to this person if there is any number available. In most cases, it's none. If you want to change the outside DID, the external call out DID for this person, you can do this as well. Or you can use the assign default, which is what is used mostly, which will show the default phone number for the organization or company. Account code and tag can be used for billing purposes. However, in this instance, we don't use them. You don't need to use them because the billing all happens straight from the billing system and it's built to the main phone number. The script on how you like this phone to be called is usually left on standard extension. However, if you wanted this phone to ring with other devices at the same time built straight from the extension, you can do this from here. Alternatively, you can do that as a hunt group, which we can get to later on. So let's leave this as a standard extension. Operator's extension option is a good feature. So for example, I can put, extension 100. If I reach the voicemail box, and it'll give me a little brief description here, I have the option of pressing 0 to go back to the operator. So if the operator transferred me to this new extension at 555, I don't answer the call. In my voicemail greeting, I can say, "Hi, you've reached Mike Smith. I'm currently unavailable." You can leave your name and number at the end of the tone, or you can press 0 to get back to reception. So that is a great feature here that you can always give your users a way out and a way back to either a specific user, or you can create a feature code that will go back to an auto attendant or give the user some more options to play with. So that is a great feature. Within the phone, all the defaults here can't be left according. By default, call limits per phone are usually limited at 2 calls per person. Now, of course, you can change this to no limit or more depending on how your company wants to operate. Passwords are automatically generated. You can regenerate new passwords yourself by hitting this number over here, and you will get a new 10-digit alphanumeric code. At this point, you can also allow permissions for this user. You can have them call anywhere, or you can actually restrict them to only internal calls, emergency calls, as well as this allowing restricted numbers, which you can assign later on. So if you don't want them calling long distance or certain numbers, you can have that managed through this option right here on a per user basis. The bottom networking information, all the default should be left. NATing is always checked off. That is to get through firewalls. DTMF mode is basically the mode that we use to transfer digit transfers. The RFC 2833 is standard, and that's the one we're going to be using here. And the bottom options here allow call groups and call pickup groups. So in this case, we've assigned the call pickup group to 1. I can assign other users into this pickup group, and this will allow me to pick up calls to anyone else who is in my group. So if I'm sitting next to somebody or in an area and I hear their phone ringing and they are within my call pickup group, I can dial a feature code. In this case, it's *8 and the person's extension, and I can pick up that call ringing in because I'm part of his pickup group. This is a great feature when you hear someone else's phone ringing and you want to be able to take that call. So that is what these options are for here. Voicemail. We want to create a new voicemail, but we also have the option to do shared voicemail box. So if I'm creating a new user and if this user doesn't answer, it's just going to go to someone else's voicemail, or it's a generic voicemail box, we can do that from here. But in this case, we want to create and use our own mailbox. PIN by default is 1111. However, we can regenerate that back to the default, or if I have something saved already there, it will be available to me. Now I can notify email by voicemail and attach message to email. Both of these are enabled by default. What this is going to do is allow the voicemails to be sent by email. And you'll notice I have an option to delete voicemail after delivery. Now that means once that voicemail has been packaged up and attached, I can delete it from my phone. So if I see that attachment in email, voicemail right in my email address in my box, I don't have to call in, or I don't have to see a red flashing light on my phone, listen to my messages a second time, deleting messages. It removes that hassle. So in most cases, you're going to enable all 3 of these options. That is going to reduce the amount of time of listening to voicemails and deleting them from your phone, because they're just sent directly as an attachment by email. Now you'll also have the option to add notifications to secondary email address, in which case you can add them here. However, this option is up to you. It is not really commonly used. Call recording. You have options to record all calls, record only specific calls by hitting a key sequence, or don't record any calls. So this is really up to the user on how to set up whatever it is that they like. Music on hold. As users call out specifically, you can assign specific playlist, which is in another tutorial, on which musics to use if this user were to put an outbound call on hold. So this is a great feature for, let's say you have a sales team. You can have a special sales or spring or whatever promo as a music on hold that is custom to that group. And then if they're making outbound calls, if they had to put the user that they're calling on hold, they would get a specific on hold music group right from their, based on their user preference right here. User portal. This is where you can give access to your users that would only show their access, which we have in another tutorial as well. And this would be their password to access that tutorial. CRM caller lookup rules. If we want to allow this based on the tenant, we can do so from here. In most cases, we disable it, but you can link it to certain approved CRM systems. In this case, we work with Salesforce.com as the biggest standard, where if their user portal is logged in into the specific CRM lookup page, as a call comes into their phone, the website will automatically call up the Salesforce link. And if that number exists in your Salesforce.com system, it should pull up that contact right away. So you got a flashing page on your screen as the call comes in right to the account, where you can put in the details and information for that user. So this is a very handy tool. And again, it's not really commonly used. However, in some sales businesses, they tend to use this on a regular basis. So it really is up to you. Contacts. This is the personal contacts for the user that you can store against this extension that you've created. So if they have mobile numbers, home numbers that you want to attach to their contact, anyone else in the company that pulls up their the company contacts can see, hey, if this person's not at the office, they have other numbers here as well. Most commonly, it's not really used. However, they are there for you. Once I'm done, I can just hit the save button, and it'll take just a few moments, and that's it. My extension 555 is now live. I can register my device, whether it's a phone hardware or a SIP device or my cell phone using the application. I can link into it right away. Now, I have a little option here that shows 2 arrows left and right. I have an extended view and a simple view. So in the extended view, I can actually see if any of these devices are online, in which case the statuses are all unknown, which means they're all offline. If these were okay, I would see a little OK here with the IP address that that device is coming from. So this is a great overlook to see how and where your phones are coming from and where they're registered from. So if one of your users was traveling abroad, you can easily identify that IP address outside of your corporate IP address, knowing that that person is signed in from abroad. So this is a great feature. And that's it for creating user extensions. When you update a user extension, you'll also notice that there's an option here that says provision devices. If we've added a MAC address associated to a device, this phone is a link to whatever I tell it to do. So in this case, this phone hardware is a Polycom with this MAC address is assigned to extension 100 in this business. This is what the label will say on the phone, and it's spanning 2 of the lines. Now, the Polycom 320330 series only has 2 lines, so both of those buttons will show the Telair test option, and both of those buttons will be registered and available to that user. If I make any change here, including the name, or if I only want to give it 1 line, as soon as I press save and provision, that phone will automatically reboot, download the new configuration, and have the new setup ready to go. So this is a very nifty tool as well after you have your extensions configured. And that's how you set up your user extensions in the MyPBX portal. Please, from the left-hand side in the playlist section, feel free to browse our other video tutorials. Thank you very much and have a great day.